All right, then, first things first. Look at this. We've got these two skins have just been announced. So we've got Infinity War Cap, which, I'll be honest, looks absolutely incredible. I mean, that looks really good, even just off that render. Of course, we don't have any sort of gameplay of these yet, or the sort of trailer which comes out, which announces the skins. That probably comes out tomorrow if any of the other updates or anything to go by. It might come out today. I don't know. But then we've also got Lunar Snow. Now, this Lunar Snow skin is kind of funny because I was only going on about this the other day saying she sort of needs a decent skin. But this looks like a decent skin. So, yeah. But these will be available on February the 7th at 2 UTC, whatever time that is in your time zone. I think that's generally, if we use PST, I think that's 6 p.m. PST. And yeah, I mean, the blurb is basically this: Captain America Infinity War outfit and Lunar Snow's Mirae, I think that's what that says, I'm not sure, 2099 costume are here. Don the costume inspired by Marvel Studios' Avengers Infinity War, or embrace the high-tech elegance of Seoul 2099 as Luna takes the Stark Arena stage. Now, in terms of how much these will cost, well, the Captain America one is a tie-in skin with Avengers Infinity War, so it will be very expensive, I'm sure. The Lunar Snow one, I don't know. That could be like an epic, maybe a legendary skin. I don't know. Maybe 1,600 credits for that, probably. But again, I don't have the details. It's just pure speculation at this moment in time. Do, however, let me know what you think about these two skins. I mean, that Lunar Snow one looks pretty damn good if you ask me. The future of Marvel Rivals. This is a massively hot topic, and it is definitely something we need to talk about because there are some naggy sort of issues we've got, and I think we could break them down. But I think the best place to start is with this. Yes, I know it's Steam DB. It doesn't really matter what the numbers are here. Just look at the graph. There's basically no drop-off here. This is unheard of in a live service space. You launch a game and you do not lose players. Like, that is insane. Now, you got to remember, there's players coming in and out of the door. It is a revolving door, right? You've got new players, maybe players stop playing, new players come in. But the game has got so much reach that it's actually managing to, well, manage the income of new players really, really well. And it's really good. And, of course, when there's a big update to the game, as we've seen with the start of Season 1, well, there was a massive spike of players. So I think, in terms of player count, this game is doing really, really well, and I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. And, of course, none of this should really matter. If you enjoy playing a game, just go and play the game. But I think it is interesting as a sort of discussion point to note that, yeah, the game hasn't declined at all from the metrics that we can actually see publicly. So in my head, the biggest issue right now is map variety and just the fact that, well, there isn't enough maps in the game. Now, yeah, we can rag on maps. I've ragged on some of the maps in the game before, going, you know, I hate this map, I hate that map, or this map ain't too bad, whatever. None of that really matters. I think my main point here is I don't want to keep playing on the same map over and over again. I was looking at my history, and I've got 4 games in a row on Kyle and R. 4 games. Like, I kept, like, what is that? Like, that is it. I don't want that. That makes me think, okay, I don't want to play this game anymore tonight. I want to move on to something else. That's not great. So I don't know why the game keeps putting you into the same map over and over again. It doesn't make any sense. Surely they can put some sort of code into the game that says, hey, you know, this player's played on this map twice in a row. Let's not give him that map again. But it doesn't seem to care what map you're on. It just throws you into a game. It's almost like it just prioritizes finding relevant players to matchmake you with, right, based off MMR and ELO, and then just makes the game. Doesn't care what the map is. But I do think map variety itself is a big issue. So even just beyond forcing you to play the same map over and over again, there isn't enough maps. We need more maps. Now, the devs have said new maps are in development and they will continue to be added to the game. I think one sort of, well, it's not really a shady thing, but they did say there was a number of new maps that were going to be added in Season 1 straight away. But one of them was Sanctum Sanctorum, which, well, of course, isn't really a map. Well, it is a map, right? It's a deathmatch map, fun game mode map, but it's not a core game mode map. So, yeah, I would have liked to have seen an actual game mode map, you know, that we play in all of the normal modes. But this stuff has got to come, right? And I do think the devs are going to be able to pump content, right? We've seen they've been able to do that so far. I'm pretty sure maps has got to be a big thing. They have said there's a ton of maps coming, like 8 new maps, I think they said. But that includes the maps that we got in Season 1. So maybe like there's another additional 5 maps or so to go. It's good news, right? But we need them now. We need them quicker. But I think a band-aid fix would be definitely to just, you know, not make us play the same map over and over again. That is actually stupid, please. Okay, so let's talk about the mid-season update. So, again, we'll keep with maps here. So, we think Central Park, oh, I think we know Central Park is going to be released at the midpoint in the season. And of course, it will come with 2 new heroes, the Thing and the Human Torch. I mean, that is a crazy thing to say because, I mean, it feels like this season has only just begun. But remember, the lead dev straight up said every month and a half or every 6 weeks, there'll be a new hero in the game. I mean, that is an incredible schedule to keep up with, and it's going to be bonkers. And I think that's really going to lean into keeping the game fresh and keeping people wanting to come back and play. So yeah, there is a new map coming. I think this will be fun. I don't know what game mode this is. I've not seen any information on it. If you guys have, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, Central Park, obviously, this is part of the New York maps. You know, Midtown we've already got. Sanctum Sanctorum, obviously, is in New York as well. So yeah, it's all part of the ongoing theme of the season, which again is a great thing, right? Themed seasons is really cool, and it lets them progress the lore of the game in the game. And I think it's actually really cool. I like it a lot. So let's talk about these new heroes, right? So Human Torch, we know is a duelist, and like I said, is coming at the midpoint, which is very, very soon. I mean, it's like, I think if I was to throw dates out, I think it's like literally the 14th of February, I think. Valentine's Day, or maybe the 12th of February. But it's coming up very soon. Don't quote me on those dates. I think it's basically going to launch when the current event finishes, which is the Lunar New Year style event. So yeah, Human Torch is a duelist, right? He's going to fly. He's the Human Torch. He's going to be ultra mobile, high damage. Yeah, he's probably going to have some sort of stun as well. Going to be really cool. The Thing, well, he's a tank Vanguard. And again, he's expected to launch basically at the same time as the Human Torch. And yeah, expecting to be able to like literally soak up loads of damage. He's essentially made of rock, so he shouldn't really take much damage. Probably got some sort of stun abilities, maybe he stomps the ground, and it will definitely be clobbering time when his ultimate is popped. That I think we can say without a shadow of a doubt. So yeah, they are keeping the game fresh with new hero additions. And yeah, but remember, next season, it won't be a case of 4 new heroes coming in. It'll only be 2, which still is insane when you think about it. And also, there's the potential that they just launch heroes anyway at any point in time. That would also be insane. I mean, that would be actually insane. So I feel very confident saying this, and I feel confident saying this as somebody who's spent years and years making Overwatch content, but I feel like Rivals has basically taken over the casual audience of hero shooters in a big way, because it's doing everything a casual gamer wants. Now, I'm not slating casual gamers. I'm not saying like a casual gamer is a trash gamer. I'm just saying casual gamers got different priorities. They're not really bothered about like ultra balance, the minutiae of balance. They don't care, right? They want new stuff. They want new heroes, new maps, new game modes, new skins. Rivals is delivering that at a rate we have not seen, and this is just bonkers beyond belief. Now, Overwatch cannot compete with that. It literally doesn't have the ability to do that. It doesn't have the personnel. It doesn't have the firepower. It probably doesn't even have the financial backing. It just doesn't have it. It's probably not even designed to do it anyway, right? They've got a system set up. They add new content into the game around every 9 weeks. They just cannot physically do it. So, yeah, Rivals, I think, have nailed the... it attracts players that want to sit down, play a few games, have a good time. It is very flashy, very high speed. The heroes are very slick to play with. Obviously, the IP is just like, you know, one of the strongest IPs in the world, so people know what the heroes do. You know, they've got connections to the heroes before they even get into the game. The list just goes on and on and on. I think looking at Overwatch, I know this video isn't about Overwatch, but I just kind of want to wrap this point up. But I think Overwatch is probably going to go down the path of trying to be more of the competitive hero shooter, the shooter that's based around esports probably, and I think we're going to see updates in that vein for that game. But I do think what we've seen here is Rivals straight up go, we know what the player base wants, so we're going to give the player base what they want. And it's almost like they're targeting that 99% of the player base, which, don't get me wrong, exists in Overwatch as well, but isn't really serviced like it is in Rivals. So I do think long term, if they keep up this cadence of updates, the frequency of updates, they're going to keep players interested, and they're going to keep that graph on SteamDB very nice and level. And then when they do a big update, like a new hero or whatever, then it's going to spike up again. And yeah, I think that's probably going to be really strong for the future. And talking of the future, it's the, well, they've got unlimited content. If you go and look at the number of heroes in the Marvel Universe, there are, they're literally tens of thousands of characters. You can even take, like, if you just took the X-Men, if you made a game just based on the X-Men, there's so many X-Men and characters in that universe. It would just be crazy. You'd have new content for the next 10 years at least, right? Probably even longer, right? Well, you definitely would. So that is something they can pull from. I think other games like Overwatch obviously take a longer time to develop a hero because they're straight up starting with a blank piece of paper. It's like, right, we want to do this. I think what they probably do is go, hey, we've made some abilities or we've got this idea for a tank. So now we need to design the character, give them the character a bit of a backstory and all of that. Whereas Rivals is like, you can just go, okay, actually, we're going to make Ultron, which we do think is coming fairly soon. And we're just going to, yeah, so here's Ultron. We know what he does. We've even got an awesome MCU render of Ultron. So we're just going to go from there. What happens if they just go, you know what, we're going to add Odin. Let's just add Odin because we can. Let's just do it. This is what it looks like. What about Zeus? Let's just throw him in the game as well. Like, the list is just endless, right? You can just endlessly pick heroes and then develop them. So I think when it comes to speed of turning the heroes around, that is developing the heroes from ideation through to actually delivering them. The ideation phase is like, it's nowhere near as in-depth as other games have to be because they already have this massive IP they can pull from. Now, granted, they're still going to have to adapt the heroes to their visual style in Rivals, and I think overall they've done an incredible job with that with almost every single hero in the game, with the exception of Wolverine. They all look incredible in this game. So that is it's fun to see their take on them, but like I said, the groundwork has already been laid, and in a lot of cases, the groundwork was laid like 50, 60, 70 years ago. The game is very approachable because it's an IP that everybody knows about, and I think this sort of solves that problem of people that might not want to actually play a hero shooter, but as soon as they see its Rivals, they're like, you know what, I'm going to give this a go. Overwatch was successful in this regard in the past because what that game did was, yeah, it had heroes like Mercy at launch, and Reinhardt was another one, who were not traditional FPS like skill sets, I suppose you could say. They were not really reliant on mechanical aim, but more reliant on different types of skill sets, like maybe being more aware of the strategic overview of the game and things like that. But it meant you could have somebody in the game who didn't have ridiculous aim actually contributing to the team. And of course, we know where Mercy went, and obviously heroes like Brig got added in the future, and we sort of went down a bit of a dark path for Overwatch. But I think they were successful in bringing new people into the FPS genre. And I think Rivals is doing this now with the third-person shooter genre, but let's just call it all the hero shooter genre, because I think that's what they're actually being very successful at. Players are coming in, playing this game, who maybe would not have played the game before, simply because it's Rivals. And I think that is a big, big bonus. Now, of course, there are heroes in Rivals like Cloak and Dagger is a good example of this, and probably Rocket as well, where you can get value on them by not actually doing as much, can I say, mouse movement, or movement on the sticks, right? Maybe. That's a debate probably for another video. But I don't think it's as extreme as Mercy was, or Reinhardt, where they were just completely different skill sets. Like, you still need to aim in Rivals for the majority of heroes. So what could break the game, right? This is something we need to discuss here, because it's all well and good talking about things which are good for the game and what the game's done and all of that stuff. So, yeah, balance could be a problem. Now, this is probably rich of me after I've just sat there and gone, oh, well, Overwatch is probably going to focus on more the sort of minutiae of balance, and then Rivals kind of, yeah, it does balance, but it's not going to do it all the time, and blah, 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 blah. But, I mean, if things get broken in the game and the game starts being played in a certain way, then that could be detrimental to the game as a whole. I mean, I've seen this in Overwatch. A lot of people have played Overwatch. A lot of people have seen it. We always talk about GOATs, but it really did slow the game down. But the thing was, it wasn't really played that much on ladder. It was at higher ranks, and it was obviously in every single esport match the game had for like 2 years. Well, not 2 years, a bit over a year, and let's say 15 months. And it was like, that was the image put forward for the game, and it was not good for the game. And of course, they had Overwatch League at the time, a lot of money spent in that. It wasn't good, right? It was a bad meta. So I get worried sometimes and think we could go down a path where the meta becomes quite bad, and then it kind of stops you from playing the game. That wouldn't be great. So we'll have to wait and see what the devs do. But at the moment, it's sort of like, I feel like they're okay at the moment. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But balance is a problem the older a game gets as well, because at the moment, it's still fresh, it's still new. The majority of the game is, that is. But if we're talking, having this conversation in a year's time, maybe things have started to get a bit stale, and then people start focusing on balance. Now, they can deflect this to some degree with the amount of new content they're adding to the game, the new maps, new heroes, or whatever. In a year's time, there should be tons of new heroes, tons of new maps, tons of new game modes. So, in theory, if you can do that, it might actually prevent the community from focusing on balance being a problem, which could be a massive, massive bonus. So this is over to you guys. What do you think the future of this game is going to hold? again, this has been something I've been thinking about for a while, because we've never really seen a game launch how this game has launched and become very dominant. I mean, it launched at a very good time, don't get me wrong, but also it's a very well-made game. It's very well put together, great visual design. You know, we've been over all the pros of the game and why it became so popular. But now it's like we're going into uncharted territory. And like I said, if you look at things like the Steam DB chart, it looks like this uncharted territory is actually very calm and is just continuing to grow. So it's going to be very interesting to see what actually happens in the coming months for this game. Will the devs be able to keep up the content output? Because, I mean, the question is also, imagine if they fail to deliver a hero. Imagine if they have to push things back. Imagine if things are broken and the game starts falling into disrepute. That could also be a big issue for the game. But I want you guys to let me know in the comments below. Like, what do you think is going to happen to this game in the next couple of months? All right, guys, I've been Stylosa. Thank you for watching today's video. If you enjoyed that, then let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below, and I will catch you lovely lot on the next video. See you soon.